All right, welcome to Restoring Childhood on the Same Page. I'm your host, Ryan Dalton. This week, we're talking about Chapter 2, What Children Need to Do in Childhood. And I have three amazing guests who know all about this from a personal and professional level. And I'll let them introduce themselves. We'll start over here.
The least qualified to be here,
No.
Kaysha Sells.
Wrong.
Kaysha Sells, parent and pre-K teacher.
Melissa Palk. I'm a principal at Northeast Elementary here and also a mom of two adult kids.
Catherine Jones, principal at Prescott South Elementary and mother of two grown children.
I know. It's hard to say that, isn't it?
Yep.
I really, I thought about all of you for this one because the principal aspect, but also parent aspect, and everything from principal to pre-K teacher, you see the wide range of what kids really need. And you knew that, before this was ever released. You know it in your hearts, you've seen it and you've experienced it. But thank you for being here because I know that you all have valuable input here. I do want to point out I have my Northeast shirt on, and we all have some type of connection.
Love it. We work a lot together,
Yes,
Catherine and I do.
My kids go with Dr. Jones, to her school, Prescott, and I love it. Have a great wilderness area and all that. But I went to Northeast. You said
I went to Northeast.
Okay.
Also.
Yeah.
And I started when they opened. I was in third grade, so I went to Tech Campus and then attended Northeast third through sixth grade at that time.
and then you all both worked there, so yeah.
Once an
She
eagle,
leads
always
us.
an eagle.
There it is.
That's
Well,
right.
we were Trojans when I was a kid.
Yes, yes.
So-
we did have that on the floor when I first came there.
We won't get into that.
Yeah, we won't get into that. We're now the Eagles.
Yes, but speaking of getting into it, let's start off with this chapter. So the chapter just really lays out the idea of what kids need in childhood, and it's juxtaposed to this idea that kids now are vast majority of their time is spent on screens and they're missing out on things in the real world. What are just some of the first things that kind of stood out to you? What are some quotes or moments or things that stood out to you about this chapter?
I love how he gives lots of facts and research throughout the whole chapter. And I knew this, but I had kind of forgotten it. How the brain is basically, by age 5, is 90% done growing.
Yeah.
So childhood is the time when the brain is in a slower development way, but it's trying to make connections.
Yeah.
And talking about learning a foreign language. You can do that best in early childhood, not as an adult. Like me learning another language right now would be very, very hard.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was an interesting thing to keep in
Yeah.
mind of how the brain is already by age 5, 90%.
And by
at
the time they
maturity.
get to us, they're already 4, at least, even in pre-K.
Yeah.
And so much has happened by the time, as principals, we're exposed to data that will say a child could be 2 years behind in kindergarten. They haven't been in school yet. So
Yeah.
you're like, how are they 2 years behind when they haven't even been with
Yeah.
us?
Exactly.
But it is that developmental piece. So
And then I see that in the middle school side where like if they don't ever recover that from that, then the deficit just kind of grows and grows.
Exactly.
By the time they get to me, it's
It's pretty significant.
Yeah.
For sure.
0 to 2, birth to 2 is huge. And
Yes.
it says that. It says for the first 2 years, it's rapid and then it slows down. But that's on page 50. And
Yes.
I agree with that. You know, for a long time, we really had that ready for kindergarten movement. And I feel like this is hand in hand with that.
Exactly, for sure.
Well, and it says like human childhood extended to give children time to learn.
yeah.
Not, and like I feel like the iPad has kind of completely derailed us.
Yes. Yeah.
They're not doing much learning. It's not the same. I mean, and I think he talks about that in the book that like even if we tried to make it educational, it's not the same.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like how he goes into that about what you're talking about where how we're different from other animals and things where even other animals that play and stuff, they don't have that kind of learning thing built in there. And I like how he touches on that. Definitely.
I think he talked about 3 main things: the value of free play,
Yeah.
the value of atonement, and the third one was social learning.
Yes.
So thinking about just free play, talking about like a kitten pouncing on, they're learning, and it's a low risk behavior.
Yeah.
So our kids need that experimentation, climbing on branches and, playing in the grass, that they're not
Yeah.
going to get really hurt.
And to add to that, I think we as parents, educators kind of see it differently, but we as parents just see play as something children do. Educators see it as something children must do.
Yeah, good point.
It's just, as parents, you're like, oh, go play. You're not seeing the importance of go play and the development that happens in the play. It just kind of feels like something kids do.
And that they should already know to do.
Yeah.
Where they actually have to be taught kind of to play and it's okay to experiment and mess up and get a bruise or get a...
Well, and that goes back to the risky play. It's hard to watch your kids fall on slides and... Like I was just at Cane Creek Park last week at the picnic, or whenever, like the picnic, I guess, it was a couple weeks ago.
A few weeks ago.
And I was sitting there with another parent, and they were like doing this thing where they were like swinging each other off, and like it could have been bad, but like I tried to just let it happen because the risky play, there is something to learn there in falling.
Yeah.
Sure.
You have the Wonderland Woods at Prescott, and I've always made a point to, I'm sure you get emails that, and maybe you don't, about
Oh, we do.
Okay, yeah. So knowing that, that you probably get emails of kids getting hurt, kids getting scratched,
Just
kids seeing a
concerns
snake.
about, really it's proactive parents or like, I'm in the car line and there's a child in a tree.
Yeah.
And I'm like, then they've either learned that they're able to climb trees or we'll help them down and they'll choose not to get in a tree again. There are two forks in that road. But the rules in the woods are, is it kind and is it safe?
Yeah.
And if it's not one of those two things, then we have a conversation about it. And that's it. And then that's your learning experience. And then you'll choose what you're going to do from there. But it's fantastic. There are no toys in the woods. It's all imaginative play.
And it's wonderful.
It's really nice.
My kids love going, and they don't even like to go outside. Like,
yeah. And my girls have done pre-K through, right now Maya is in 4th, and they've both done pre-K, kindergarten, first, and the woods have by far been one of the highlights of their time at Prescott. And that's why also I felt protective of it, because I could imagine certain parents possibly.
Well, there's sword fighting. And at home, when you've got brothers, somebody is going to put somebody's eye out and they're really your children. And but at school, as long as you're safe sword fighting, you can fence all day long if that's what you're choosing to do. But they build, and there are vines that they swing on, not tall, scary vines. Just one group will say, do you want to watch me ride the horse? And another group, you want to see my swing? And another group is like, come with me, I want to pull on this, and we'll ring a bell. It's just whatever they decide it's going to be. And so that outside play is a big deal.
And I think we talked about this when we met about our book study, is parents see unstructured as unsupervised. And that's not necessarily the case. Like, you definitely still have to supervise the woods.
Absolutely.
But it is unstructured.
Yeah, and even that, he speaks about this in multiple chapters, but that idea of the little bit of risk is important for the kids. It's important for the development. And anytime my girls are playing outside and they get a scrape or they get a little injury, I say, like, wow, how lucky are you to have proof that you had a great time out there.
Sure.
And that's why if they come home with a scrape from the Wonderland Woods, I'm like, this is amazing. Other kids do not get to do this at school.
Yeah.
Like, you get to come home from school with a scrape from a real tree. Like, other kids.
I think our girls have been playing before, and you're like, wow, that is like, his reaction is not what you typically.
Not the typical one.
Yeah. But it's like, there was even the one time where they had seen a snake out there. And I imagined some parents maybe not being so excited about their kids seeing a snake at school. And I emailed Dr. Jones and I was like, thank you for this opportunity, because that's a learning opportunity, and it's amazing.
Well, and we keep them safe. Like we said,
they're safe.
There's never a time a teacher is present when they are not constant. We're like FBI agents. Like, it's constant. We are scanning the room, making sure everything's going okay, but we don't dictate everything. And I think sometimes parents want us to interfere, but we really prefer for the kids to work it out. If we interject ourselves or if we're present, they don't have the opportunity to work it out authentically.
Yeah.
And that's really the underground of childhood, is working things out authentically, and then sorting out who you enjoy being around and who you'd rather play with someone else. You don't have to be friends with everybody, but you need to be kind to everybody.
But really, that's a real world. I mean, we do that in the real world as an adult.
It's the serve and
We
return
can
and the
choose,
contact. You know,
we can choose who we're going to be friends with, and it might be because we've had a bad experience with them or whatever that we're not going to be with them anymore. But our kids need to learn that also.
skill.
And not with adults interfering. Let's let them just work it out.
Well, I like that you kind of referred to it as an agent of some sort, because that's the key, where if the kids feel that they're just out there by themselves, but you're still watching and making sure that they're okay, especially in a school setting, that's ideal, because they feel like, oh yeah, they can't see me, I'm climbing into this thing, but you're still monitoring.
We're there.
And, yeah, you're there.
we're there.
Yeah.
For
and,
sure.
and when there are 20 kids, if you're not there and you didn't see it, someone will tell you about it. So
Especially when they're young. Young kids,
their perspective.
they tell everything.
Yep.
For sure. For sure.
I wrote this note on page 52. He's talking about the need for play, and I just wrote on the side that children become socially impaired when they're deprived of play, and all the social benefits of play. What do you all see in like the pre-K and elementary sort of level with this?
They don't. We find, and I'm not in.
You are, though.
I get the bigger. I get it when it's kind of escalated. I get the calls from parents and stuff more when they think that just because somebody had a conflict, that it's going to be so bad. Do you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, let's let the kids come together and let's talk about what really happened, and and really the adults need to get out of the way and let them kind of take care of it a little bit. And so we are dealing with a lot of that of because people can park in our front and see into our playground. And so we get a lot of phone calls of, same way with Dr. Jones, my kids, somebody's being mean to them or whatever. They don't really know what, and to some degree you kind of got to let them work that out themselves and then intervene, obviously, because we don't want anybody to get seriously injured. But most of the time they'll work it out themselves.
Yeah, and I think on behalf of society, I think 85% of the kids would walk up to another child who wasn't playing and say, do you want to play with us?
Exactly.
Do you want to play tag? Do you want to swing? You just see it happen all the time, and you go, the world is full of good people, but that doesn't get reported, exponentially because it doesn't make the news. But I think there are so many opportunities where kids do invite each other. And another thing that I do see is for kiddos who haven't had the opportunity to play, they haven't been exposed for some reason, might be
They don't know how.
They might be being raised by grandparents who are hesitant to let them out. There are all kinds of different reasons, but they really don't know how to play yet. And that's one thing we discovered in the woods. The first couple of years, they said, you've got to come out here day one, and then you need to come out after 9 weeks. Because day one, they were like, okay, tell us what to do. And they were like, no, go explore, be creative. And then as time goes on, it's like, come with me. I got to show you now what's going on. And like I said, every scene is different, but that's true in your neighborhood. I mean, I grew up in a neighborhood where it was eat breakfast, hit the door. I'll come back when I'm starving at lunch, hit the door again. I'll be back at sunset when the lights come on, if you make
and honestly,
me.
we never had anything in our hands either. We just left.
Yeah.
No, I was
So we were going to find sticks, mud puddles, rocks,
Food.
whatever, whatever we could find, we were going to play with, because we just didn't have the things like they have now. There wasn't scooters and all. We might have had a bike. Somebody might have had a bike, and 3 of us would ride the bike together.
All on the same one.
On the same bike,
Well, and it's kind of like what Kaysha said earlier. I think maybe even at that time, our parents, I don't think they weren't some like play therapists that knew what they were doing. It was kind of a means to an end, like get out of the house. I need to clean or whatever.
Right.
But now we as educators see play as so vital. And he even says like the United Nations Declaration in already 1959 that saw play as a basic human right.
Yes.
I underlined that.
Yes.
A basic human right. And let that sink in for a moment. Think of any other basic human right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking that away from a child, we would be in jail, I guess. I mean,
we
got to
think
at that
authorities.
time that was probably competing with child labor.
Absolutely.
So it was like they need to play, and now we've
went the complete opposite.
That's right.
We're hesitant to give chores because we feel like, let them have a childhood and they don't need to work until they're older. But there's a lot of research to support that you have more confidence when you're able to complete chores, and you do. That's another natural learning balance. That
Yeah.
I think
For sure.
That is interesting to think about that, how this, absolutely came out of this idea that kids were being forced into labor early, and that's all they were
and they
experiencing.
deserve to play.
Yeah, please give them
Well, and I
the
think
right
that's
to
kind
play.
of what brought us to this moment we're in, is because like in the early parts of the book, he talks about how what kind of began this is like my parents in early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, they were doing this, like they were putting us on video games or in front of TV screens to get us out of these dangerous neighborhoods.
To keep us safe.
Yes. And so then we've moved into like, we as parents felt like we were doing the right thing by putting them on screens or something that was safer for them.
Yeah.
So they were at least in the house with us, so we thought they were safer.
I think we also thought we were getting them ahead of everybody else by educating them more. Like if they knew they could read earlier.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That we were getting them that extra step above and not realizing that it had any negative.
Yeah, I mean, technology as a whole is not a negative thing. It doesn't have to be, and it's not innately negative. And I think we saw it as like this real, like, oh, cool, we're going to be able to have these screens that teach the kids, and
Just exactly what
the
they're interested
Jetsons,
in. Yeah, we're gonna.
Well, I remember consciously thinking that I needed students to have experiences on a variety of devices because their life was going to, that was a tool they were going to need to know how to use.
Yeah.
How the tables have turned.
Yeah.
That's, we don't have to worry about that so much because they're so quick to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like multi-language for sure. Just
For sure.
phone to device to whatever.
Whether for the good or the bad. I mean,
Yeah.
you see like a 2-year-old just
Yeah.
scrolling through TikTok, and I'm just like, how did they even know how to do their
Yeah.
finger like
It's like
that?
they immediately do.
Yeah.
I noticed on page 54, I underlined the word that said that smartphones and tablets were in the hands of children were experience blockers.
Yep.
And it made me think of one time, I don't know how old my son was, early elementary probably, and we had a television screen in the van, and he was watching a movie. We were up in the mountains, and I remember going, hey, look, there's the Smoky Mountains. And he went, where? I don't know. Because he was watching the TV
Yeah.
so much, he missed all the mountains. And
Yeah.
that just made me think of that.
Yeah.
Of course, we were like, dude, you need to, turn that off and whatever. Did we turn it off for him? No, we didn't. We just kept on because he was happy in the car and we could drive, 3 more hours or whatever.
And we've all been there as
all-
parents. I mean,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't want to like put any guilt on this
No.
because
No.
we've all
But
been
when
there.
I read that about experience blockers,
Yes,
I'm thinking
I mean-
that was we were in the mountains. Like
Yeah.
that was it.
And
we
that's one
went
of
to
those
somewhere
moments
cool.
as a parent, you're like, ouch. That
Yeah.
one hurt. I mean,
Yeah.
it hurts a little bit to read that.
Yeah,
Like,
it
and that
does.
you
Yeah.
did this. Like, we did this as parents.
Again, we didn't intention it. We were just
Yeah. Doing the
having a
best we
good
could.
family
Yeah,
thing. He
exactly.
was happy.
But you do better when you know, know
Exactly.
better.
Exactly. You do the best you know to do.
I
at
call
the
it
time.
keeping the peace.
Yeah.
Like a screaming baby or an upset child. But in society, I guess a long, long time ago, it was like they should be seen and not heard.
Yep.
And then technology made it where like everybody can behave. And it's unfortunate because it's.
But sometimes I find myself trying to get the right picture for somewhere where we are instead of just experiencing.
Yeah.
You're at the beach, you're watching the ocean, and you're trying to get the perfect picture
Yeah.
of the sunset. And it's like, wait a minute, we need to just enjoy the sunset.
Yeah.
I mean,
The moment for me as a parent where that is the trickiest is like school performances, where I'm like trying to record it, but I also want to see it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why don't I just put this darn phone down
Yes.
and just remember it?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
How
Yes.
often do you really go back and watch that?
right.
I mean, there are times that I do, but the memory of seeing them up there for my girl's first
But I don't know if
recital,
you've
dance
ever
recital.
experienced that as a
Yeah.
parent. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to look at this,
Absolutely. Yeah.
But going back to our kids being older, we don't know where that video's at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We might have done that, but we have no idea.
Yeah.
Some of ours are on VHS
Yeah,
tapes,
my
which is sad.
childhood-
But
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know where that's at.
Yeah.
We can't even find
but I
that,
think we've
you
just
know?
got to learn that like you can live without
Let's
looking
choose.
at to
Yeah.
live in the moment. And like I wrote this quote down, and I wish I had the exact quote. And it was like, when your children look back at their childhood, do you want them to see you, or do you want them to see a phone in front of you? Like,
Yeah.
because that was another
Yeah.
ouch moment. I was
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
how many of my kids' moments was my phone in front of
Sure.
me?
Yeah.
Sure.
for whatever reason, even if it was to better the experience,
Yeah.
like Disney World, where you have to be on your phone to get
Get
the
on
thing.
the rides, yeah.
But to think about your kids like thinking of your face with a phone in front of it.
Well,
That,
it's just going to be normal. Like it's going to be what was normal. And I'm going to say, once again, I think a lot of people are having a really great life. So it's not it's not.
Yeah.
We're just learning. When we know better,
Sure.
we do better. But it'll be, oh, that was that phase, and then there will be another phase. In 10 years, we'll be reading a different book and learning about something else that
sure,
we're. Oop, we need to
absolutely.
improve on that. So,
Yeah.
So
that
don't
did make
beat
me
yourself
think.
up, Mama.
I know, but it does make you kind of
Yeah.
think like,
Yeah.
Well,
No, it's
and
fair.
kind of back to talking about putting kids on these things. On 54, I marked this one. He said, "It's as if we've given infants iPads loaded with movies about walking, but the movies were so engrossing that the kids never put in the time or effort to practice walking."
Yeah.
And so it's that thing of even like, you know, a great movie and you're missing the mountains or
Yeah.
whatever it may be, these experience blockers that he just before that talks about how they're missing out in that embodied synchronous one-to-one interactions and on this in these virtual on these tablets and cell phones and in the virtual world, it's disembodied, asynchronous, one-to-many, and done either alone or in virtual groups that are easier to join and leave. And it's kind of like going back to what you were talking about. When you are in this world where the stakes of being a part of that and staying a part of that are really not that high. You can block somebody, you can leave at any point, you unplug the video game.
You don't really even know them.
You don't know them.
Yeah.
You're not learning those important, very important lessons that we would use later in adult life that help us build relationships, keep relationships, succeed in jobs.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I noticed was it was talking about the addictive design of the platforms.
Yes.
And in my mind, when it could become imbalanced, I think about things that you did with a group growing up. It could be a sport, it could be playing in the woods, it could be a neighborhood, something, but there were so many things that there was a feeling to it, and there's not an emotional word for it, but there was a feeling to it, and it was safe, and it was fun, and you want to go do it again.
Yeah.
And if you are leaning toward the direction that you would rather be on a device than have those synchronous feelings, that's when I think it becomes a little more concerning.
I think so too.
Because it's not fair for anybody. Like if I was watching a movie and you just turned it off, I would not be happy. You would get a reaction from me. And I think often we do that to kids. They'll be playing a game and we're like, 2-minute warning. And then it's like, it's off, we're done. And then they have a fit, but they're in the middle of something and they work for 20 minutes to get where they are. And so we would be upset also. So I think there's a balance there, but sometimes I think about if you'd rather be locked into something than experiencing an exchange with humans, because it says that kids want kids want to play with kids. And that to me is when it gets a little more concerning.
I've noticed kind of going with what you're saying, Catherine, is a lot of times when we have a student that's maybe struggling with some behavior, we'll do some things where we'll try to figure out what are they motivated by, like what will you work for? And 95% of our kids want one-on-one time with an adult.
And it used to be food.
It used to be food. They don't care anything about food. They don't want a device. They want to play, and that's why I have games in my office, and I will be in the floor playing Candyland or whatever because they earn their points and they get the reward. Highlight of my day. But they don't even care what you play. They just want you to
Or the biggest thing in a treasure box is like lunch with the teacher.
Yeah,
exactly.
It is. But that we've seen a definite shift in that in the last, that it's almost all of them just want the time. And so I tell parents a lot of times, just give them, if they do well in their spelling test, that's great or whatever, but you don't have to give them a reward. They don't have to get ice cream. They don't want that. They want you to go play ball with them for 5 minutes. You ask them. And they'll tell you it's usually because they don't get that.
It's really hard for working parents who work an odd shift, and then the kids at school, and then the parents at work, and they don't get all that time together. So the weekend is it's just difficult emotionally for the child. That's nothing to do with anyone's fault. It's life circumstance.
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
then giving them an opportunity to play at school is, it helps fill that gap.
Well, and I also think about with this how, even with my own kids, we do things for them that even they want to do, but we oftentimes miss out on just those moments of just being. So like they're in all these extracurricular activities, and we're running from. I mean, just there's construction happening at Prescott right now. I have to get from Avery Trace through construction to Prescott, pick up the girls, get them over to dance by 4:00, and in that moment, what am I doing? Am I stressing out the whole ride?
Am
I like,
because you can't take 111 now.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, but like that's time with my kids, and I'm going to this thing, this structured activity that's adult driven, adult led, and I'm there with them, but I'm not really involved.
You're watching.
And it's fine. That's good. It helps them, but at the same time, we're missing out on that one-on-one connection. Even with the idea that like we're doing this good thing for our kid, we're exposing them to dance, violin, all these wonderful things.
Some of the best conversations with the kids aren't face to face; they're with the kid in the back seat because they're not looking at you. They'll spill a lot more about what's happening in life when they're not looking at you, but they need to talk about some things that have happened.
Mine has asked me the hardest life questions in the back seat. What does this mean? And you're like, whoa. And you're like, I'm glad I'm not looking face to face.
So I think the takeaway here is just like, don't get caught up in the driving or the destination.
Enjoy the 3
The
minutes.
journey. And that was very philosophical or something.
And it's a lower risk too, because they're not looking at you in their face. They'll say all kinds of things if you turn the technology off in the car, especially on short in-town excursions.
Yeah. Well, and I say this to the girls all the time. They'll be getting ready for we'll be getting ready for bed, and I'm getting them ready for bed, and we're kind of winding down, and they're like, get on some little topic, and they start bickering about something, and I'll stop and say, hey, this is our life. This is our life. It feels like some mundane thing we're doing, like getting ready for bed, but this is real. Like this is our chance. We're not together all day at school. We're not together in all these other times. This is our chance to be together. Let's not spend it bickering in that.
Every parent who has more than one child appreciates what you just said.
Because it's like
it's real.
Yeah, it is.
And as adults that have siblings, I mean, that's some of our best childhood memories is some of those discussions among siblings, right?
Yeah.
It also extends bedtime.
Yeah.
You get a really good one.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right. Nobody's going to bed for 10 more minutes.
So one of the things that he speaks a lot about in here is attachment, and then he talks about like how just like even just kids meeting up with friends has drastically gone down just since like the early 2000s, and he talks about loneliness and how so he says, given the vast amounts of time invested in asynchronous interaction rather than getting together with friends, is it any wonder that so many teens found themselves lonely and starved for connection starting in the early 2010s? So just the uptick on loneliness. So getting back to kind of the impact that this is having, this sort of asynchronous life where they're constantly connected online. I mean, our teens and even us, we're more connected, and I put it in quotes, than ever before.
Absolutely.
But it's missing that deep communion. It's missing community and all the things that we get out of this.
Well, I think because we were designed to have human interaction, to have conversations face to face like we're having today, not Zoom conversations, not gaming conversations.
A text.
A text. I mean, yes, I can text Kaysha all the time, but it's not the same as she and I sitting down and having a conversation.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes by how we're wired as human beings.
Yeah.
And that's why they feel that loneliness, because we are connected, but you're not having that deep connection in person.
Well, there's a difference between like sending a text and like sharing a meal together or being in the same space as someone.
Serve and return.
Yeah.
It really is that reciprocation, and I care about what you're saying, and you're not alone. You know, it's all those things, because we all have challenges that we go through.
Well, and with the serve and return and how
and celebrations,
it should be easier in person with that. I think about just how something even over text can be misconstrued. You could say like in a text like fine, and you might mean that in a good way. Oh yeah, fine, that's fine.
Or you might mean like fine.
Yeah. And in person, you would hear that in
Yeah.
the tone. You would see it in the face. You would see it in the like body language that's being spoken. And in a text, you're set with the wonder, like, oh, how should I take this? And we spend so much, I think, energy that we don't even realize trying to interpret and decipher what these things mean.
And then put yourself in the seat of a child.
Yeah.
You know, like a teenager overthinking all that.
Yeah.
I mean, teenage years are exponential anyway.
Yep.
Well, it goes by them
Yeah.
back to the
Yes.
importance of playing and having a low risk conversation with your friends, and you can learn, oh, that wasn't very funny.
Yeah.
Somebody's face looked bad, so my joke didn't go over well.
Yeah.
Instead of waiting until you are in the teenage years where you're constantly comparing. And I mean, I didn't grow up in social media, but I compared myself to every girl in the high school, and
But you got to go home and escape it.
I got to go home, and my mom told me I was the
The
best
best thing.
of whatever. And nowadays they don't get to escape that. And I think that's an important part of the book on the social learning part is that's how Facebook was designed. It was to give you likes.
Yep.
And if you're worried about how many likes, and I had someone say to me, "Well, I didn't get very many likes," and I thought, I don't ever look at that. I don't.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
teens
care.
do.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
They do. It's very important to them.
And it's called a loop. It's
Yep.
it's cyclical, so it doesn't ever stop, which
Yes.
is another unfortunate piece of it.
Exactly.
Well, and there's
exactly.
that whole other like kind of subtle, nuanced stuff like being left on red.
Yeah.
Have you heard the kids say this? Where
Yes.
you text and you'll get the red receipt that said this text was read at this time. Some people don't have those on, but like the worst thing you can do
Is leave somebody on red.
live somebody on red.
But you don't know. They might have been.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole other story, and it may not have been an insult at all, but we don't know that because it's through that.
What would be the equivalent of like, and I feel like there's a range here of age.
Yeah.
What would the equivalent of being left on red be? I was just thinking about that
In
when we were
our generation?
Yeah.
When you take the phone off the hook.
Yeah.
You know,
but then you didn't know
somebody's
your
trying to
mom.
call you.
Your mom could have done that because she would say.
Did we have an equivalent
No,
to being left
not
on
really.
red?
I
Not
don't
at all.
think we did. I mean, because if you got a busy signal,
I guess
Yeah.
if someone walks away
Somebody
from
might be
you or
talking.
something.
somebody
I
might be
mean,
talking.
you just think about the challenges that
Yeah.
that we cannot understand.
Yeah.
Being left on red.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Like,
why
I
I
didn't
didn't
fathom
fathom that.
It could happen to.
And I never
like, I
think
don't
about
know.
that.
I
I'm
don't
like,
pay
whatever.
attention.
Yeah.
My thing is to send it. Like if I need a response, then you'll get back with me.
Yeah.
That works for you. But I am old enough to live in that land. I'm not a 14-year-old. Need to know, are we going somewhere?
Your
or not?
brain is
Yeah.
develed. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you
you
got
can
it.
think
And
right.
I think and the book also brought up how on all these social media they're using filters, and like just because this is a picture of Dr. Jones doesn't mean she didn't put a filter on it.
Yeah.
That makes me go, oh my gosh, why can't
Yeah.
I be even more?
She
Yeah.
didn't look like that in the interview the
She
other
did. I
day.
saw her the other day, and she's changed a lot.
But
in
they're
a
not
couple-
seeing each other in person. So
Yeah.
they just see.
Yeah. Well, and he says on page 64, he says, any child who spends her sensitive period as heavy user of social media will be shaped by the cultures of those sites. So we're talking about they're seeking that likes. Even the subtle things of text, like not trying not to be left on red. What do you do to not be left on red? Like,
Right.
this whole changing your whole being to like keep this persona, the influencer thing. He speaks about this culture of people who became famous for being famous.
Yeah.
But that our kids have become these little mini influencers. And
Well, I can't even understand, and this is my age, but how you even understand who is famous, because there are now so many TV channels and so many influencers. It's who's famous in your world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because-
I've even heard kids
Yeah.
say, if I get so
It's
many
vast.
followers on YouTube, I could make money. And I'm like, how do you know that? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And why do
Or
you
get
know
in like the
that?
creator fund. Or,
Exactly.
I mean, they just know
I
the
get $100 if I can do this. And I'm like, wow. I mean, we
Yeah.
just had to go to
When
work.
we grew up, there were basically 3 or 4 channels, and those
Yeah.
were the famous people were on those channels on those
and a couple
shows.
movies, yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was once a week. You couldn't just stream it, and but now it's
Yeah.
hundreds of channels with hundreds of shows, and then you throw in the social media pieces. It's a lot of humans to keep
So
up
when
with.
it says on 64, it says for girls, the worst years for using social media were 11 to 13.
Yeah.
And for boys, it was 14 or 15. Okay, our kids leave elementary school and they're 10.
Yeah.
So we're talking 5th grade
Yeah.
for girls. I mean, that's young.
Which is when I had told my kids that will be the milestone when you can get a smartphone. I thought middle school is the good one. And then I read this book and I was
You're
like,
like, nope.
nope,
We're going to wait till
not
late
doing it.
middle
Yep.
school, maybe high
Yep.
school.
Yep. But yeah, it's interesting the things that they are missing out on by being thrust into this virtual world.
Well, and I think puberty is just hard in general. Like, it was hard for you. It was hard. I can guarantee it was hard for all of us.
Absolutely.
Without a phone.
Exactly.
And then to think that, I mean, the tech world is kind of preying on that age.
Oh, yeah.
It is. It is.
I do want to support the book because it does give realistic ideas, like in other chapters, about options.
Yep.
Like, we can't, they're not going away. It's how can we use them and remain mentally healthy?
Yeah.
Like, there's a balance there. And I support that because so many of the things we're saying are, oh my goodness, you know.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's like, there's a good way
Ryan
to use
and I
it as
had
a
this
tool.
exact same conversation over the summer because Matilda had made the dance team and was going to be going on all of these away games. And I'd said, like, we need to get a phone because she needs to be able to reach us.
Yeah.
The book says, that's terrible, don't do that. So Ryan was like, how about like a smartwatch? Like a reasonable solution,
Like a gizmo,
solution to your problem. I love that about the book too. It gives
some ideas so that we can live in the real world.
because you originally think, oh, well, then I'll get her like a flip phone.
Yeah. Well,
I might as well have
You can't buy
took
flip
her
phones.
down to the county square and like
Yeah,
made her wear.
But if you go to the cell phone companies, they don't have lots of flip phones.
Well, they
too.
do,
Do
but
they
that
now?
would have been the worst thing in the world in middle
that would
school
have been-
because that would have been a target on her that she was different, she was weird. So the watch, everybody's wearing smartwatches now, so she's completely okay with the smartwatch. She can call us, but there's no internet access. Like
Sure.
there are realistic solutions
Sure.
to
Absolutely.
real world things that we're experiencing.
Well, and I think the more we continue in this, if we see collective, this collective awareness, and we see people who are saying like, okay, we need to shift and change, the less that pressure will be. We'll have a new norm. We can create new norms, which he does speak about in certain
And
parts
share
of the book.
ideas among parents. I mean, that's going to be the big thing, is coming up with you're going to be great because you guys are going to have this big idea pool.
Well, and like even the
ideas
dance
to
moms,
do,
we'll get
you know
together
what I mean?
sometimes and be like, "You're not doing a phone, right? We're not doing phones, right?" There's a few, but like most have went to different options. So it feels nice when you have
that's nice.
support with other parents.
Yeah, because when you're at dance 2 or 3 times a week, they're your family.
Yeah.
They become your family away from your
Yeah.
family. They really do.
Well, I guess if you were going to this chapter being about like what kids really need, and the devices really not being in there, that's a need. What would be your kind of final words for parents of what you see as either a parent and an educator or whatever it may be? What's your advice?
I'm a proponent of communication, interaction, being social to the capacity at which you want. Some people are more introverted versus extroverted, but I think kids need to play games. They need to win, they need to lose, they need to understand it's okay that you want to play.
Yeah.
They need to have different experiences. I think everything we figure out in life, we figure out what we like and what we don't like. And usually it's because we're a little more skilled over here and a little less skilled over there. But we have to experience all those things. And if we're trying to keep them at home in a bubble, they don't get to learn those lessons. And life is not a bubble.
Yeah.
We're going to have to be able to think critically and communicate and have fun and be happy and be sad and be able to communicate all those things with other people to have a successful, balanced, mentally healthy life. So that's really what I got out of the book, and I love it. I think it's I appreciate the research, but more importantly, I hope the next generation reaps the benefits of the research, because if we don't do anything about it as society, then we're doing a disservice.
I agree.
I think we need to just let kids be kids. And it's okay for parents to put limits on technology. They shouldn't feel like it's ruling their life.
Yeah.
It's okay to put limits. It's okay.
Absolutely.
It's okay to say you're only going to do an X amount of time on technology a day, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, just let them be kids.
Yeah.
If they get dirty, they get dirty. If they get a bruise on their leg, that's a great thing. Let them just be kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would just like to say, like, how important play is. Like, all of the things they learn through play, the social, emotional, fine motor, like all of the things that they need through play. Like, it's not just play. It's not just something that kids do.
Yeah, play is not just this silly thing. I mean, it can be silly, it can be fun, it can be a silly thing, but it's not silly in the sense of not needed. And it's a need, and as we've talked about, it's a right of a child. And I know that I hope that as a community we can support the infrastructure to even increase that throughout the community. I would love to see more places for unstructured play in our community. We have some great places. We have great nature. We have some great parks. Even Dogwood Park, thinking about the little creek, you know, and stuff within the park is really cool. But I would love to see even more of that, and us as a community embracing the idea of play and unstructured play a little more.
Absolutely. I love it.
And you don't have to go to the park with somebody that you're going to play with. Kids will find each other at the park.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's insecure as a parent. Like my one child and I are going to go to the park. I'm not. Yeah. I'm too big to get on the toys with her and all that. And it's like, oh no, you get to stand back and she will go find her fun.
Yeah. And they always make friends at the park. I love it. Like I made a new friend, and we just
we were just talking about this. Yes. My kids made friends at school. I was like, what are their names? She was like, I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They're just a friend.
Yeah.
Just liked her vibe. She was a good person.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That happens at the parks, and it really happens through play. So, all right. I hate to say it, but we're out of time. But I really, really appreciate you all being here.
You.
Also appreciate what you all do, because I know that you aren't just like in education it's not just a job. I know that as being a part of that, but I also see what you all do, and you all are really and truly creating these beautiful worlds for kids to grow up in, and a lot of what he's talking about, you're doing that, and that's why I wanted you to be here. And I appreciate that.
It's very much one of those moments where we're like sitting in the church pew and like amening. Like
we're preaching to the choir.
Yes.
But
finally somebody wrote it all down.
Yeah. It's our amen moment.
Exactly. I love it.
Yes, very much.
Love it.
We're fortunate to have a great community.
Yes.
So
we
I
are.
think we're all very
Yes, we
fortunate
are.
to work for the school system, but
Yes.
it's an honor to work with kids.
Exactly. For
Can't
sure.
have a bigger honor than that.
No,
For
that's
sure.
true.
For
Most
sure.
prized possession.
Well, I guess that's it. Thank you for helping us get on the same
All right.
page.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.